Good morning. Namaste. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good
Su-
morning.
Such a beautiful topic, actually. I think all of us will be able to really resonate with the topic because heartbreaks, as we all know, it's a part of our growing, and it's also not that easy to let your heart be on one side and, not let those feelings impact us for the longer time. So, as we've been getting a lot of, requests on this, that we should be very candid about our conversations on the relations which have not really worked, but we still carry them in our heart, either as a matter of resentment or something that has, left us scarred. And even if something that had happened years back, we still carry it forward.
Mm.
And sometimes the relations which haven't worked, we also blame ourselves that possibly we could have worked a little harder towards it, or maybe we didn't do certain things right. That's why we are at a place where, there has been a split, whether it's a relationship of hearts, of, friends, couples, or even parents for that matter.
Mhm.
So, where exactly again can we draw a line? How do we, if we can analyze it in terms of why it happened, and just understand that maybe it wasn't just meant to be, but it's so much easier said than done. But I think now you'll have to do a hand holding for all of us here to not let these pitfalls be a matter of despair, but a matter of growth and learning. Over to you, Dee.
Thank you, Vinita. And actually, that's my prayer with everybody who connects with me, because we all go through some kind of relationship turmoils. It could be something, big and traumatic, as to losing somebody very close to you, a partner or a child or a parent, and, you somehow just can't get over it. Or it could be like, that you've separated in some aspects with all the kind of separations that are happening, not just amongst couples, but even otherwise. There are a lot of relationships, close relationships among siblings when we are not talking, or among parents and children, and among friends. We used to be the best of friends, and then suddenly it's like you're just not there in my life. Right. So I actually wanted to bring this up because last Sunday, since the last 3 weeks, we had been talking about really love, because it was the month of February and it was the Valentine. That whole energy was there. And we spoke a lot about love and valuing relationships, how we can make relationships work. And each time, yet just focusing on ourselves, isn't it? So last week, the moment we finished the talk, I got this message from one of my very good friends and student who wrote to me. And in fact, I would like to just read out those lines that she wrote. And it brought up something inside me. And I immediately decided that, okay, this is what we're going to be talking about next Sunday. So I just give me a moment to pick out those lines, because they meant something, but to frame that whole thing also in a way so that everybody can understand what exactly we're talking about took me a while to think about. So she wrote, "Can you do a talk on grief, grieving the loss of old roles and relationships?" So it's not just breakups. Sometimes those roles remain, whether we are a mother, or whether we are a wife, or whether we are a husband, or whether we are a child, or a sister, brother. But yet we have to get out of those roles. So how we can not be grieving about it. And as Vinita said, play those roles in a way where using those situations, using uh, that so-called event in your life as a stepping stone for your growth, right? And to take it on the other side of the spectrum, if I look at it, it's like the more we are growing spiritually, in a way we are supposed to be stepping back from all these relationships, isn't it? We don't want to be entangled. It's like, okay, now my child is grown, he's completed his school, now he needs to go to university, so I need to step out of that role of being a mother 24/7, and yet being a mother, maybe, far away, and being peaceful with it. Right. Similarly, when children get married, whether it's daughters or sons, it's like you suddenly feel your child has now somebody else in their lives, and then the roles totally change. The roles totally change, because in a way, it's like you want your child to grow, you want your child to get married, you want your child to go to university, but when they actually step out, you feel so much of a fear inside you. And sometimes it is so difficult for us to let go of that role, of that control over my child, control over my sibling, whatever it might be, isn't it? I have even, like last week, I was counseling somebody whose brother got married. And obviously, her mother started not being biased towards the daughter in law, but gently, because there was a new child in the house. So obviously, you will welcome her. Obviously, you will do things which till now was only emphasized on the daughter in a way. So she was feeling so threatened with this new role that her mother was playing, and she was feeling abandoned. Can you imagine? I mean, which parent would really abandon the child as such? It's but when there's a new daughter-in-law in the house, you have to welcome her. You have to bring in that balance, isn't it? But that does not mean that the daughter of the house, whether married or unmarried, should in any which way feel threatened. So these are just examples of roles, and of course, a lot of times, most of us associate this with romantic relationships. You've had a long relationship, you've continued being in the relationship, you've dated for so many years, and then something shifts and you feel it's not working. And actually, in your mind, you have projected your entire life with this person, isn't it? The problem is not the breakup at that time. You may also be feeling the urge or the energy inside, which is not supporting you at this moment. And, you're feeling that you need to step away. But that habit of having that person in your comfort zone 24/7, whether it is sharing what you want to share, whether it is, doing the normal activities or whatever you're doing through your day, that is a bigger setback than the actual, say, loss or breakup of the relationship. And of course, always the issue is, or the problem is, when we point the fingers outward. He did this, she did this, they said this, that is why I cannot be with them. But we have to understand that just so-called one act or one situation, one interaction, one fight, one argument, can it brush away everything else that you were carrying in that relationship? And you are an equal part of it. This is like a 50-50. You cannot say that it is only one person's thing. Like we always say, we need both the hands to clap. And as innocent as you might be, and I'm not denying that we might be that also, we've not really played that so-called role to break up the relationship. But we also have to understand, always have to understand now, that there is a bigger picture, there is a bigger plan. And when we resist that plan, and we want things to go just in a particular way, or we want to hold on to that relationship just because it exists, and there's so much of pressure from the outside, that what will happen if this breaks, what will happen to me, it's not about the other person, what will happen to me. That fear is what really gets to you and what causes the anxiety and the stress. And then added to that is like a lot of issues like you feel betrayed, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected, all those things come in. But when you had chosen that relationship, or when that relationship came into your life, you have to really count your blessings to have that person in your life, to be able to fully enjoy that. So we have to see, what I'm trying to come to is that we have to see that it is not just those few interactions or that one habit or that one thing that can actually make you walk out of a relationship. It is never like that. And whatever it may be at the end of it, if we have reached a point where we feel that we need to part ways, or we need to just live peacefully, exist but yet coexist but yet remain in our boundaries, we have to respect that also, isn't it? We have to respect that also. So the first and foremost thing that any of us who's suffering, or we see somebody suffering, is to drop out of the blame game. We have to really step back and stop the blame game, because it's always about blaming the other person, that they were not able to live up to our expectations in whatever way it may be. Maybe they argued, maybe they had a fight, maybe they had bad habits, maybe they cheated, whatever. They were not able to live up to your expectations. And that is the reason usually we tend to part ways in any relationship. And somehow I always feel that at that time, we are looking through a very, very narrow lens, a very, very narrow lens, because we are only focusing on something which is totally, totally crushing our ego, totally crushing our ego. But if we allow that, if we allow us to go through those kind of pains and crush our ego, we will just bless those people and say, okay, wherever you are, it's fine. I bless you. And whatever we enjoyed with ourselves, I mean, let's not totally overrule the fact that we had a wonderful relationship. We spent n number of years together. Just in your heart, be thankful for that and let life go on. It's not even about you moving on. There is nothing else that you can do. Even if you lock yourself in your room for months, you are still moving on. Life is still moving on, isn't it? So drop that resistance and do what is needed to be done. Pray. Praying is the biggest thing that I feel now that we have to turn to. That God give me the strength to go through it, but don't just put that whole relationship down. Don't just degrade that whole, relationship that came in your life to teach you so many things. You enjoyed so many years in whichever way with this person or these people. And yes, now it's time, either you have grown or they have grown. And obviously, you're not matching with each other's frequencies, isn't it? You're not matching with each other's frequencies. Now, all of us who come for these spiritual talks, or we understand spirituality, it's not that we don't engage in other kind of activities or meeting other friends. But when there is a talk like this, or when there is a connection where we can talk about our inner feelings, what we feel, how our life is, and understand it not from the point of getting a pat on our back and feeling victimized, or feeling that, yeah, I really struggled through my life, but rather than understanding that all these situations help me to grow. That is where our energy is going more and more, versus going into talks which may really not have no much meaning, but yet they're important. I will not deny that they're not important. They are equally important, but then just look at them at face value. They're not really helping you to grow. And these situations, in fact, these people who come into your life and then for some reason step away or go away or move on, whatever it may be, they're really your biggest gurus, because they teach you to detach. You can't but help it, isn't it? They teach you to detach. If it's a parent child thing, obviously the parent will usually, most of the time, even if they might be like feeling very bad and thinking that the child has not been fair, still from their heart they will bless the child, isn't it? But when it is amongst two adults, say two friends, or between two partners, it's very difficult to bless the other person, because you feel that you have been wronged, isn't it? You have been wronged greatly. But I just say that, supposing you have been wronged also, now holding on to that pain, will it really help you in life, or will it just aggravate the pain further, building into emotional blocks? And really, first it'll lead on to, emotional upheavals in you, leading to kind of mental imbalances. And very soon they'll come out in the physical body, isn't it? Very soon they'll come out in the physical body. So do we really want to attract those illnesses in our lives by carrying bitterness, by carrying resentment, by carrying anger? That's where we need to empower ourselves to step back, come into a neutral space, cut cords with them, and pray that you have the ability to grow out of this relationship, or move ahead, doing the best for yourself and for the other person. Praying for the best for yourself and for the other person. How empowered it will make you feel when you come into that space and you say, okay, let me open my heart, let me bless the other person. Even though in, my ego saying, what the hell? If I can just for that moment crush the ego, or just put the ego aside and come into my heart space and say, okay, so this is how it was meant to be. I'm feeling bad. I feel like crying. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling betrayed. I'm feeling rejected. Absolutely okay to feel all those emotions. Feel them fully, fully feel them, and then just move on. We hold on, or we carry so much of this pain with us. And the only part that really gets affected here is the ego. You look at a small child, say a toddler playing, he'll fall down, or he wants something and he says, I want a chocolate. And you say, no, you can't have a chocolate because your teeth are spoiled. You had one yesterday. You are only allowed to have one in a week, or whatever you're trying to rationalize. The child is not listening. He just wants the chocolate for that moment. And when you say, no, you're not getting it, what will the child say? Child say, I hate you. And you'll tell the child, no, you don't say that. But why shouldn't the child say that? For that moment, the child is really feeling that he hates you. Isn't it? If you ask the child later that you said this in the morning, I mean, the next moment the child will come and hug you also, because, just for no reason, not that you're giving the child the chocolate. Because at that moment, the child felt that emotion of hurt, felt that he hated you, said whatever he needed to, and then it was over and out. Because he came to terms with what he was feeling, he expressed what he was feeling, and he moved on. Now, supposing this child is 20 years old and your 20-year-old child tells you, I hate you. How will you take it? It'll like, my God, crush you. You'll also forget the child, forgive the little child. That he's small, he doesn't know what he's saying. Of course, the child knows what he's saying. Why doesn't he say at that time that I love you? The 2-year-old very well knows when he wants to express love and when he wants to express hate. But a 20-year-old, when he wants to express hate or says that I don't like this, it hurts your ego in a much bigger way. And then you can't take it. How dare he say this to me? Because now you've brought up that child, you've given 20 years of your life to this child, and you expect the child to only love you. Is it fair? Can you do that? I'm not saying you have to hate it, but yes, there could be areas which you don't agree, or there could be issues that you have, or habits that you feel bad about, or things that you would like to change or point out to your parents or to your siblings or to your partners. That does not mean that if you are not agreeable to some aspect of their life, that you need to, the only solution is to stay away or to break off or to walk away. In fact, I feel that's like escaping. That's like really being a coward, because you cannot face up to a situation, and you cannot sort of understand that this is something that the other person wants, and it's only your ego that is feeling threatened by it. And you don't need to walk out or ruin these relationships just because your ego is feeling threatened. It has absolutely no meaning, isn't it? But at that moment, we don't know where to take the pause. The ego comes rushing in. And then it's like, I'm caught by the mind. You tell so many people, the mind has already been made up, because a lot of times people, even in the court, if there's a divorce, they say, okay, there's 6 months time, you go and think and you try to spend that time with each other and really decide, do you want to part ways? But you've already made up your mind. So nothing will help at that time, because you're only seeing from that vision of the fact that he has been unfair. She has been, immature. I cannot spend the rest of my life with this person. And believe me, if you walk out of that relationship, sooner or later, you will find somebody who will make you feel exactly in the same way. So I would say stay in that relationship, stay with that person, whoever it may be, and try to grow out of that so-called issue which is triggering you to break out of the relationship, and see what happens. See which part of you is really feeling threatened. It's only your egoic part that is feeling threatened. Nothing else has power over you. Absolutely nothing. And then from that aspect, when you feel whatever you feel like, okay, so, every time my relationships don't work, or why do I keep attracting the same kind of people? And, every time I have a heartbreak and the person walks away from my life. So is it that, there are these different people who are targeting you in their life, and then they're coming and they're, spending some time with you, falling in love, and then walking away and then making you feel rejected? No, not at all. You are attracting that energy in your life. And understand, why is the universe putting that in your lap? Only for you to understand that you can break through this so-called habit, issue, whatever the other person is triggering you in. You have a greater power, you have a greater awareness in you to be out of it. A lot of times we say that, yeah, we are tolerating it all, but then we are again coming from an ego space. We are not looking at this as an expression of the other person's way of being. We are looking at it as that I am overlooking it. So I am still coming from the head, that egoic part, that, I'm the one who's giving everything in the relationship. I am just hanging in there. So it is going on. The day I step off, the relationship will break. But understand, you are nobody to be either choosing to be in the relationship or out of the relationship. When that decision has to be made, it will be made, and from a higher realm, not from just your thinking that it's time to go. Maybe the other person gets some kind of insight and feels, okay, I need to step away. So there's so much to these things. And what I really want to emphasize is that use these situations. Don't run away from pain. Don't comfort yourself by just putting these little band-aids when you have such issues or situations in your life. Reflect on them. Go deeper. Think, what is it that is triggering you? What is the emotion that comes up that makes you feel I cannot be here and I need to run away? And don't choose the easier path. The easier path will be to speak to a couple of friends who say, yeah, she was bad, he was bad, you are a poor, you are suffering. That's only like feeling more victimized and going down to the drain. Pick up your phone and call somebody who would tell you, okay, look, what is there inside you? Why are you feeling so triggered? Is it really so big? Can you not hold on for a moment, reflect on it before you take a decision, before you take a call? What's the hurry? What is the hurry? Yes, Kyra, go ahead.
Good morning, Sujata ji.
Good morning.
Sujata ji, my question is that, for example, like you said, that we need to reflect first whether something is coming from our ego space or our heart space. And maybe it's better to stay in that relationship and talk to the person and try to work things out, right? Because there is a lot that you've built and a lot that would be going down the drain if we decide to split ways over something that might not be as big. If someone has tried that, um, if we've done that and it's been done a couple of times and it kind of has become obvious that even trying to work things out is becoming a bigger issue than the actual issue itself.
Hmm.
And I mean, if I don't know about everything else, but if I'm getting the signs that maybe it is better to walk out right now, and I try to make this easier on the other person as well, but like I have to make it clear to the other person that I really don't think that this is that maybe at a point in the future we would be okay. Maybe at a point in the past we were okay, but right now we're not. So I think we both need a little bit of space. But the other person does not agree to it. They don't want to let go. Even though I genuinely feel like I'm ready to let go. I've tried and it's worked out for me, but the other person is really not going to let me do it, kind of. What do I
Okay.
do?
I want to say a few things that I heard you do, say in this thing. When you say that you are letting go, right? But the other person is not letting you go. Okay. You are the one who's feeling so, and you are the one who's trying to tell the other person to make it work. You have to understand that you're still coming from a space of pointing the finger outward.
Right,
Do you really want the relationship to go ahead? If you really want the relationship to go ahead, then you need to reflect on the fact that what is it that is making me feel uncomfortable? And again, reflect, what is the trigger inside me? What is the emotion? What is the vibration inside of me which is making me feel triggered, because of which I cannot go ahead in the relationship? And you have so much power. In half your conversation, the power was totally with you, but when it came to the letting go, the power went to the other person. That the other person, he or she, is not letting you go, letting the relationship end. Don't think that way. The power is with you in terms of, if you want to step away, if you feel that no. And the biggest and the easiest thing that one would say is that I don't think I'm growing in this relationship. I feel this relationship is making me feel stagnant. It's putting me down. It's making me go, you know, low down. But that does not mean that you have to break relationships. Now, somewhere you may have a choice. So it's just a relationship. It's a sort of a casual relationship or a friendship. You have a choice that you can walk away and not associate. But I'm even talking about relationships where people are married, where there are parents and children, where there are siblings, that these things happen and they create a lot of pain. Like siblings who've grown up together, and they don't speak in the later years of their life when they most need each other, because there are differences of opinions. But exercise your own right. Nobody can make you hang in there, and nobody can make you uh, leave the relationship. But firstly, you have to be 100% comfortable. I don't see that when you talk you are 100% comfortable in letting go. If you are 100% comfortable, which you feel, then it will make no difference. Just make your boundary. Tell the person that, okay, I feel fine where I am. I need to grow and I'm feeling stagnant in this relationship. Just speak about it from your feelings, not that, you don't do this to me, you don't meet me, you don't call me 10 times in a day, or whatever it might be. Don't point the conversation or the fingers outward.
No, no,
Just
Prajapati,
talk about it yourself, and then step away and say, this is my boundary, and respect your boundary. And if the person is trying to really break through that, and then of course you need to respect yourself and step away to the level. But do it with love, do it with a lot of respect, rather than doing it with anger and feeling that, oh my god, now this person is just not leaving me. That is his or her destiny. If they're not able to handle it, that's their problem, that's their emotions. They need to work on themselves, they need to grow, isn't it? And you have to not keep saying that, but you have to just draw your line and step away. you know Delete the number, erase the thing, block the person, do whatever. Because in your heart it's like, or don't be bothered with the connection of the person, or continue to be there and just be there present as a cold energy. And just that, it's okay, since I don't want to hurt you, I'm picking up your phone call, but I really have nothing to say. How long will a person keep banging their head? So don't make it ugly, is what I say. In all relationships, don't make it ugly. If you can do it respectfully, gracefully, why not? I mean, just remember friends in school. Like, you are of course still in school, so it's difficult for you. But I can say that we had friends in school. It was like, she's my best friend for life, best
right.
friend for life. And there was only one best friend. It's not like this generation who have 10 best friends every second day, and she's just my best friend. And you actually live up to that. So now if you talk about that best friend in school, she's nowhere around, she's in her own life. You lose that communication. And similarly, like, as you grow, so many times you meet people and you feel, wow, I'm just going to form such good, they're going to be with me for life. But then you feel that, no, this has fallen off and something new has come in. So don't disregard or disrespect those relationships. And it doesn't have to be that this is a childhood friend, so she's the one who's going to be my best and most sincere friend. No, you might just meet somebody down the line, and suddenly you see a lot of them in your life and you start growing with that. Yes, I'm talking very differently about relationships where you've committed in some ways, or you want your, relationships to run in this way. That's a different thing. That's your own mutual understanding, and the boundaries that you have set for yourself in all kinds of friendships, partnerships, marriages, relationships. It's fine. But don't feel
Prajapati,
threatened. Yeah, go ahead. I want you to please complete what you're trying to say.
it's just that the very boundaries you're talking about, they fluctuated. Fluctuated in the sense, I, uh, I mean, there was a time when there used to be close to no boundaries, and that did not turn out to be healthy. But when I started drawing a little bit of boundary for myself, it started making things, I won't say awkward, but a little more difficult between, because the other person is not used to that. But then I feel that some of those boundaries are necessary in places where the other person is trying to take decisions for me, which I do not agree with.
Obviously.
There I start drawing boundaries that, even if we have a sort of commitment of, or whatever it is, there has to be something that separates the two of us as well, right? We're still two different individuals with our own lives and our own choices. But That's something we don't see eye to eye at. So where do I go with
See, you said something that you have drawn those boundaries, or you think that those boundaries are necessary,
that? Right.
right? Uh, Being for necessary comes from the intellectual mind that this is the best way to step away from this. But how comfortable are you with those boundaries?
No, so I genuinely agree with those boundaries.
Yeah, but how comfortable are you being in those within those boundaries?
Um, Sorry, I don't think I'm getting
No,
what you.
meaning if supposing you've decided, okay, so I'm just giving you an example. This is not personal to you. Supposing you say that just going to speak to you once in a week, or I'm not going to speak to you. How comfortable are you with it? The other person may totally disagree.
No, no, that's not the kind of boundary. The only boundary is that I want to take my own decisions,
Okay, fair enough.
and that if you're trying to take decisions for me and I agree with them, that's okay. But where we disagree, it has to be like kind of my life and my choice.
Yeah. So absolutely, the other person cannot enter into that field at all. And
Right,
if
but
it
they're trying
upsets the
to.
other person or makes the other person feel whatever, then sorry, that's it's very clear. I'm not acting according to that. But why are you feeling hurt with the other person not agreeing to that? It's okay. Let him or her not agree. It's fine. It's your life. You take your decisions. At the end of the
Right,
day, you're going to be answerable for those decisions, not him or her.
right,
Right? So you be comfortable with those decisions, is what I'm trying to say. Everywhere, whenever you are comfortable with the decision that you have taken, irrespective of what the other person thinks, and you're very confident, and that's the way you want to move, then just trust yourself and hold in there. If you are feeling restless from inside that I've taken this decision, he must be feeling bad, she must be thinking this. If you're going into that, then it makes you uncomfortable. They may not be thinking anything, and you have to say that in a very affirmative way that I'm sorry, I'm not doing this because this is not for my highest and best. I'm doing what I choose to do, and I cannot allow this. Unless it's a person who's an elder, like a parent or a grandparent or a boss or a teacher who's telling you something. Then also, if you feel no, then the elder will say, okay, it's totally your call, take your decision. And it's not necessary, your decision might turn out to be very good, or it might help, it might, you might fall down, but that's also fine. Those are only learning steps. But then you have stood by your own self. If you start shaking there, then nobody will trust you, because you yourself are doubting yourself, isn't it?
true.
Right? So just reflect on this, and I totally understand, get it, the space from which you're speaking. You have to be comfortable with your decisions. If you are comfortable, confident, and in alignment with your decisions, nobody can say anything. And if they want to impose, you hear with one ear, but you do whatever you wish to. You can hear, swallow it, and finish it. Take it out from the other ear and gone. I'm doing. But I would say at a point, if you feel or you value that relationship, it's okay to reflect on what the other person is saying, right? But you don't have to follow it. You have to be open to reflecting and then see, okay, which is the one which is best for me. If you still feel that yours is fine, go ahead. If you feel that no, maybe I could just look into some aspect, there could be something new, that I'm hearing here, just listen to it and follow it to the level that makes you comfortable. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So be reflective. Don't impulsively go to one end or the other end. Don't swing like this. Just be peaceful, reflective. The only thing that, one of the biggest thing that makes a difference or creates problems in relationships is when you immediately get defensive. You don't have to agree to the other
Right,
person, but you don't have to say no outright.
right,
Let them express themselves. Let them feel also that they have some value in what they're saying. Give them a listening ear, but follow your heart, follow your instinct, trust yourself. It's absolutely fine. They are coming from their point of view, and if the relationship is valuable, they may not really be having any of their own vested interest in this. But if you feel that there could be, of course, somebody who has a kind of a vested interest or selfishness in that thing, but you have to be the bigger person because the decision is totally yours. Reflect on it, respect what the other person is saying, because they're coming from a space of great generosity where they just want to share something or feel that this would be better for you. But you feel otherwise. So don't be instantly defensive and say no.
true.
Okay, just reflect on it, learn to take that pause that I have taught you, breathe, think about it, and then step away. And then that knocking will not see somebody is knocking on your door. If you know that if I open the door to this person, he's going to come in, spend the whole day, sit on my bed, eat lunch, and go only after dinner, why will you open the door to that person?
Right.
When you don't want to be. So once the person will knock twice, thrice, four times, if the door doesn't get open, they'll invariably stop knocking.
Right.
And the same thing happens with us. Pritika, I'll just make you wait for another minute. The same thing happens with us. If we are in a, when we say step away from any relationship and we say, okay, I don't want to intrude in my child's life beyond this or intrude in my partner's life beyond this, and I step away, initially it hurts or initially it'll make me feel uncomfortable. Hurting could be so many different things for different people. But then slowly, you will see that that intensity of the pain will settle down because you have honored yourself, isn't it? You have not
Right.
fallen into it, but you have also stepped away. And slowly, you will see you will get that confidence in yourself. And tomorrow, if you feel that there is a point where the other person had said something which is coming true now, you can always say, if it's a genuine, honest, true, open relationship, that, yeah, I think I should have listened to you. But if it was meant to be, it would have. And I learned from it. Now I move ahead in a different way, and that's fine. And slowly
Right.
that pain will actually dissipate for both of you. Nothing stays, everything is just passing. Unless you hold on to that. If you are holding on to that pain and saying, oh, this is mine, she did this to me, she walked away, and they left me and went or whatever, then you will be holding on to that pain, and the pain will only intensify because you're giving it more and more and more energy. It's like putting ghee in a oven. It'll
Right.
ignite more and more. But if you step away and say, okay, I'm just watching this, I'm feeling the pain, I feel like crying, I feel like, venting, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling betrayed, and you feel your emotions fully feel your emotions, but don't attach a story to those emotions. Then you'll see that you'll be able to deal with it and come to a space of mutual respect where you understand that, okay, this is not going ahead, it's fine, and I step back, and maybe the other person still doesn't agree or wants to try or this thing, then just let it be. You do to the level that you are comfortable and step away, and then just trust. If the relationship is meant to be there, you may part ways and still come back. If the relationship is not meant to be there, you may be holding on to each other's collars for life, but still the relationship will not carry on because the
Right.
plan is a bigger plan,
Right.
isn't it? But learn to respect yourself, form those healthy boundaries, be reflective, don't be defensive instantly. You'll see there'll be so much respect in the relationships.
Yes.
Yes, Pritika.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyra.
Hi, Auntie. Auntie, I have often seen myself become very vindictive when mean. I would say, I hope you suffer. I hope you struggle. I hope this comes to you. So I have seen shades of a whole different side of me. And I have not been able to overcome it. And that is the truth. I think I have been reaching out to you for many years now. That is something I just have not been able to do. That emotion comes out very strong, especially, and this is across all relationships. I just become, I start cursing. While might not do it openly, but I know in my heart I'm wishing bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, the fact, firstly, I really appreciate your sharing on a platform like this and being very honest about it. So firstly, understand that now the fact that you're putting it out and you don't like doing that, but it happens from inside you, isn't it? Obviously, a part of you,
Right, Auntie.
that egoic part of you, which is feeling so hurt at that time, it's only a clash between the ego and the ego. From the heart, you know that those people are a part of you, part of your family, and or your friendships, and you are only wanting to grow in that, and you wanting to, there is so much of love in that whole relationship, in those relationships also. But that cursing comes from a very low vibration, very low vibration, because at that time you feel totally helpless and beaten down. But if you just step into these practices, you come into a space of coming from the heart and understanding that this is neither your fault or the other person's fault. They are doing their best, you are doing your best. And believe me, like when we talk about curses, when we talk about which way. I'm sure all of us have gone through and still go through some moments like that. But you have to be in that space of awareness. And I always tell you, you may not come into a space where you can instantly say, I love you to the person or fall in love with that person, but you can surely come into a neutral space. That's
Got it.
all I want you to do. Because you're only attracting more negativity. You're putting energy in all that negativity in the relationship, and you're only growing it. And you are seeing the pattern that the more people who come into your life are again making you feel that vindictiveness, that, that low energy and that worthlessness that you fall into. Isn't it?
Auntie, but if I have to ask you, what is the technique to move on from it? I think my struggle has been I don't know. I like you said, I know I should overcome it. That awareness is there, but I don't know how. Like you're taught cord cutting. Somehow it's because the feeling of anger is so strong that even when I sit to do any of those techniques, I feel more anger, agitation, and then I leave it in between because I'm unable to.
I totally understand, because at that time the ego mind is so, so powerful. And you are so emotionally invested in the whole situation. That is not the time that your mind will allow you to go into that, because you're so victimized at that point, isn't it? So that's why we say you have to build up that practice of learning to take that pause. And it's only because you are feeling so threatened at that moment, isn't it? Why will I get out at somebody? Why will I curse somebody? Why will I retaliate? It's only because part of me gets so full of fear that I am not being loved by this person. This person is not respecting me, not valuing me. Or in a broader way, you're feeling totally out of control, isn't it? You're feeling totally out of control with yourself and with the other person and with life. Because things are just not going the way you want them to go. Isn't it? So it is not going to happen in this way. You have to build up to that. That's why even when I tell you, okay, do your little practice, do a little meditation, do a little grounding, then what will happen that when you do these on a regular basis, even if you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a regular basis, in the midst of doing everything else, I know how pressurized you are for time. In the midst of whatever you are doing, if you're just cooking or if you're just, taking a walk, taking a shower, having a cup of tea, if you just bring yourself totally into the present, bring yourself to your breath, meaning have full awareness on the breath. When you come into that space of understanding that there is a little moment of pause before you retaliate, what happens is that the anger gushes in, and even that little platform where you could have taken a pause and stopped this overflow of anger, that gets totally washed away, because your body, your energy is not familiar with that. It doesn't know that there is a platform on which you can take a pause. And before you know it, you've said what you are going to regret the moment later. Or you feel so bad about yourself that why am I doing this? And that pause will not come at that time. You're so emotionally invested in that whole situation. At that time, your energy is so caught up and you don't know how to handle that energy. And actually, if I go back and I share this with what I'm studying now, I'm studying family constellations, and I'm sort of reading up on, I'm doing a class, I'm doing a year's course on it also. We have to understand that, when we are small, when we are like kids, and there is an emotional outburst or there is a situation which is traumatic, we really don't know how to deal with those traumas. We really don't know. And because we do not know how to deal with that trauma, that emotional, that behavior continues in adulthood also, because we don't know how to deal with that trauma. We're just not aware how we are going to be dealing with that trauma. And so the only way we know is to retaliate, to get angry, to lose control and fall into that loss of control. So we start shouting, we start hitting out. I mean, this is not for you, but I'm just talking in general. Yeah. Right? So because we don't know how to handle our emotions, it's not about what is happening outside. Someone might have just hit your car and gone away, wo to ho gaya. But the emotions that come up at that time are something that you can't handle, isn't it? It's not the story. And I'm giving you the example of the car because it's so impersonal. Somebody hits your car and they just zoom off. Now you are full of anger, full of those gush of emotions, that loss of control that you're feeling. that is what you don't know how to handle. And you just start abusing the person or get angry or start shouting or, trying to race or catch that person or curse that person. Because that's all that you can do at this time. You only have control over where you are, and you feel that by, harming the other person, your pain will be less. But that's true. Your pain will never be less by harming the other person. Because see, when you talk now, you're only feeling that pain so much. And I totally understand it. Since I work so closely with you, I understand this behavioral pattern. But just bring in that moment of awareness. I tell you, on your mobile, put every 2 hours a 1 minute or 30-second stop, like a time where you're just pausing and breathing. We have a lot of them, various WhatsApp groups also, but it's very difficult to keep pace with them. Just make it personal to yourself. Take 3 breaths of awareness. It takes you all of 5 seconds. Seconds. To breathe in with awareness, breathe out. Breathe in 2, breathe out 3. Breathe in 3, breathe out. And just those 3 breaths of awareness will bring you into the present moment. In case that your energies are so scattered, do 5 minutes of grounding. The moment you get up, put your feet on the ground, visualize roots holding you. You've done so much of this. Just know that you're connected to Mother Earth. Just ask Mother Earth, hold me through the day, support me through the day. And, let me not lose my cool. Isn't it? Just do these simple things. You don't have to go into elaborate meditations and Reiki and all if you don't have the time at the moment. And most of all, whenever you do, when you're falling off to sleep, give Reiki to your solar plexus, because it's all coming from our ego center, the Manipura chakra, isn't it?
Right.
Simple things like this. And most of all, in your prayers, ask for that awareness, ask for that wisdom, ask for that strength to deal with whatever is coming in your life in a civilized way where you don't blame yourself.
Got it.
Right? Because the amount of guilt that you're accumulating, it again takes you further down, and it's very difficult to lift up from these low emotions. And it's like, I'm doing everything fine. Why am I feeling so low in confidence? Why don't I respect myself? Why do I feel I have no self-esteem? Why does nobody listen to me? Because at the back of my head, the main emotion is that, gosh, I'm so vindictive. I am so guilty about what I did.
Got
And
it.
it's not about moving ahead from there. It's just about understanding that, okay, so this happened, but now I need to just take a pause and not, at least in the next moment, not go to that level where I just totally lose it.
So what I'm understanding is, Auntie, by what you're explaining is initially focus on you and your grounding and not really go into, let's say, cord cutting, etc. at the moment. You just
Absolutely
focus on
focus only on yourself.
yourself.
Cord cutting is also only getting your power back. Cut that cord,
Got it.
cut and connect from the heart. Then when you connect from the heart and say only ties of love, how can you curse that person?
Thank you, Auntie.
Just focus on yourself totally. Always turn the focus inwards. Forget about the behavior or what the other person, you can write a thesis on that. That how, everybody is there to sort of harm us or make us feel victimized. You just have to drop all that. That has no meaning. What is it that you are feeling? You have to focus that. And why do you feel that? Only because you're totally scattered and you're off your center right now, isn't it?
Right,
If
Auntie.
you're center, whatever happens will just keep happening around you. Right? But if you get
Right.
caught in this, then you are also going round and round with that. So you've lost your sense,
Emotions.
isn't it?
Right.
Step
Right.
back, watch, breathe. The best is your breath. It's always with you, isn't it? You don't need to listen to my voice. You don't need to put on any Reiki meditations. You don't need any bells or music. Your breath and you. Your biggest
Right.
anchor is your breath.
Right, Auntie.
Biggest anchor is your breath.
Thank you.
And see, this is one thing maybe it's a little off the thing, but your breath is something which supports you. Why do we feel unanchored? Why do we feel ungrounded? Because we feel nobody's listening to me, nobody's supporting me, isn't it? Even I am not able to support myself, I'm losing my ground. But this breath came into your body the moment you were conceived until the time we die. This breath is always supporting us. You are fighting, you're angry, you're enjoying, you're out running, studying, eating, cooking, bathing. The breath goes on, isn't it? It's your biggest support and your biggest anchor. So just acknowledge this breath and connect to it. When I say connect to it, even now we've been talking for nearly, an hour, but how much have we been aware that we are breathing? So all you need to do is to shift your focus and be aware that I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Every hour or 2 hours before you pick up the phone, before you get up to eat your meal, it'll take you all of those 5 seconds, but you will come back to your center. And the mind can do only one thing. Either it can be with the chatter here, or it can be with the awareness of the breath. So just do this little practice. It's just so wonderful. 3 breaths of awareness, and a lot of spiritual teachers talk about it. Eckhart Tolle talks about it. Muji Baba talks about it. Everybody just brings you into the present moment. In fact, I'm going to encourage all of you, before we get off this talk today, just take a moment. Let's do it right now. There must be so much in your mind that is there, which you need to do, complete, this, that. I mean, there are billions of things that are going through your mind all the time. But let's just come into this space of awareness. I'm going to take you through not even, say, 2 minutes or 3 minutes of just a little grounding and connecting to the breath. And we'll see if we can just put this little clipping out separately so that anytime you can listen to it. Okay. So however you are, just make yourselves extremely comfortable. Doesn't matter whether you're lying down in bed, sitting on a chair. If you're sitting on a chair, just try to make your spine erect. And however you are, just visualize that your feet are flat on the ground. You may not have them flat. Just visualize like you're getting up in the morning, putting your feet on the ground, connecting to Mother Earth, and gently close your eyes. And as you breathe, just visualize that as your feet touch Mother Earth, that gravitational pull is actually holding you. It's like Mother Earth is holding you. And if you have a moment, just visualize roots going deep, deep, deep. And you know how these deep roots at the core of the earth, how tightly they're held and how difficult it is to pull them out. So feel that those roots growing out of your feet are anchoring you to Mother Earth. And nothing, really nothing can uproot you. And then as you thank Mother Earth in your heart, feeling that tingling in your feet, just bring your awareness to the tip of your nose. And suddenly you will find your mind saying, oh, but I have to do this. Full stop. Just come back. Just your awareness to the tip of your nose. And feel that breath, acknowledging and being in gratitude to this breath. Just feel that breath moving in and out. Breathing in 1. Breathing out 2. Breathing in 1. Breathing out 2. Breathing in 1. Breathing out 2. And then one more long breath up to your feet. And release. And then slowly, in your own time, in your own pace, just bring your awareness back to your space and go up and about into your day. All of 2 minutes, 3 minutes to do this. And I wish each of you has the most wonderful day, week, month, year ahead. So these things are very powerful. They might seem so simple, but yeah, just come back to your breath. It is so, so wonderful. So thank you. God bless you. Keep breathing with awareness.